Hello YouTube, my name is Legend of DS and welcome back to Can They Be DLC Season 3 Episode 15. We're nearing the end of the season, end of the series, and today's episode will be about the assassin from Assassin's Creed. But before we get into it, let's look into the past week, or what happened or what didn't happen, more specifically. First, what didn't happen. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, it wasn't at the Game Awards, and we didn't see Fighters Pack 5. So yeah, now I believe I'm now on the I'm no longer. I used to be a firm believer, sorry, that Doomslayer would be character 5, and that or that Master Chief would be a surprise character 5. I said that in the predictions video for the Game Awards, but the Game Awards came and went, and those characters, the ones that would fit very well with the Western audience, didn't show up. So I'm now leaning more towards possibly being a Cosmos, possibly being a more niche character, a character more Japanese side, let's put it that way. And I'm now more on the camp of the possibility of Cosmos being it, because obviously you have to look at what is happening to form an opinion, and my opinion for Doomslayer was, this is what's happening. I mean, I think Doomslayer still is a possibility, but here's what's happening, here's what it could have happened. But as for Pack 5, I don't see it, and I could even see it as, well, I couldn't get Rex into the game, I'm gonna go with the next best thing. Obviously, way back in last year, I think Rex almost is a shoo-in for Pack 5. And honestly, for Pack 5, for DLC, for next DLC, which, again, we still don't know how the DLC is gonna work. And looking at the possibilities, personally, I'm looking at the possibilities that actually I might be right in the way I thought about how they were going to be doing things in my predictions video for the DLC after the pack, because we don't actually know how long characters are not only done in, but how long it takes them to do. We could just all speculate like 6 months like we all thought, but like Banjo-Kazooie was about finished in or it looked about finished, at least. Yeah, it looked about finished in July when they recorded the announcement thingy, and in July they had early or too early. They didn't. The trailer for Terry wasn't showcased in the direct, and even in the Banjo reveal, because they didn't have it, or not that they didn't have it, was that they were early into the process of developing him, and then we still had a little bit of it, and even then the stage was already done, or basically done. So, you know, we get a lot of the possibilities there of maybe, just maybe, the characters are going to be more, like, characters take less, or characters without a specific gimmick, or even characters with a gimmick, don't take that long to develop comparatively, like the Joker one or something like that. And yeah, maybe possibly or maybe I'm just trying to hype myself up, I don't know. Also, talking about the Game Awards, it was a weird show. I know that was disappointing, honestly, as a European, staying up until 4:30 in the morning, trying to watch it, hopefully waiting for the Smash reveal. Because honestly, I thought like, oh well, the entire show didn't have much. I'm like, well, maybe they'll announce it with Smash gaining Game of the Year. Then we didn't. There was a totally audience mishmash with the Nintendo announcements. One of them, at the very least, when they announced the Bravely Default 2, which I thought that was already a thing with Bravely 2nd. However, it wasn't. So, but you can see it, and like even Jeff kind of screwed that one, because like hyping it up, like we talked about Sony, we talked about Microsoft after, you know, Series X and Godfall being announced. By the way, Series X, what a terrible name. Me and my brother just I've been calling it, the abbreviation for the system is just sex, because it's Xbox SX. It's just the sex console, which it's a weird name, and a lot of people have been saying, and I agree, it's another Wii U situation. It's just a shitty name, and honestly, I would say it's worse than the Wii U one, because the Wii U came after the Wii, and it was like this U. It's like it was bad because it made it look like an upgrade, but at the very least I can see where they were going with it and calling it a different system. However, we already have the Xbox One X. They legit just call this Xbox X, basically, which is 3X again. So it's weird. But like, oh, we talked about them. Let's talk about Nintendo, and then Bravely Default 2 was announced, and the crowd was dead silence for it, although we did get No More Heroes. And that was honestly the one thing I was like hyped up throughout the show, like watching the trailer, because it was a cool trailer, the little bit we got at the Game Awards. But then unfortunately I was not recording, so yeah, that's why I didn't have any I mean, no, it was only going to be one reaction from the Game Awards. But it would have been a cool trailer. It was a cool reveal that they had for No More Heroes 3, and it looks proper nice. And I could see Travis becoming also Character Pack 5. It's a weird one. Right now, a lot of characters are up in the air for Character Pack, for Character 5. And yeah, we don't know exactly how DLC is gonna happen. And going off the award show again, Sekiro winning Game of the Year kind of surprised me. At least it wasn't Death Stranding or Resident Evil 2. I was in the firm belief that neither should win Death Stranding, because it was a hell of a recent game that reviewers somehow, some way hated it, but at the same time were nominated for Game of the Year, which was weird, while games that actually had a higher Metacritic score didn't, aka Fire Emblem Three Houses, that actually won People's Choice for Game of the Year, I believe. So way to go, Three Houses. But the show, I know a lot of people were talking about, like, some people that were like, this is not E3, this is not, companies are not here, this is an award show, it's not an announcement, so you shouldn't expect better. All I'm saying for that is that even though the game show, the Game Awards have always been more show than awards, but this year it was more ads than show than awards. Because the show itself was bad, the awards were basically non-existent throughout the entire thing, and how many Magic the Gathering stuff did we see, or League of Legends? My God, there was a lot for those two things in particular. It's like, Jesus. It was very clear that Q1 next year is going to be insane. Because first things first, we're going to get a Direct within the month. I would wager January 6th, 7th, 13th, or 14th is when we're going to see the Direct. And it might be crazy. I think From what we're seeing, I think 2020 is going to be an insane year for Nintendo. So there's that. Then we're obviously going to have the PS5 reveal and the Series X true reveals. It's going to be an insane first three months of the year. And I think first 2 months of the year. Because March then it's just full with games. So yeah. But anyway, let's get on to the topic of discussion for this video, which is Assassin's Creed. Can an assassin make it into the game? Well, here's the thing. I think someday we'll be seeing an assassin getting into Super Smash Brothers. Ubisoft is a company that's cozied up to Nintendo, and I know Sakurai loves to do the Japanese things, but eventually either Nintendo, especially for DLC, Nintendo's not gonna be like, okay, Sakurai, who do you want? And then Sakurai pulls like something out of his butt that's like, oh, it's a big Japanese, like Toho, or I know a lot of people talk about this character, Rinu, I think that's her name, and it pulls it out, and Nintendo, for example, for the second season, let's say that there's no pack, so Nintendo's they're not gonna just willy-nilly agree to any character Sakurai wants, because, or that might seem popular in Japan, because like, we want to sell this to the world. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has sold close to 4 million in Japan, but it sold 8 million in the United States. You need to sell to a worldwide audience, and there's going to be people that, like me, that will buy it just because it's a DLC card for Smash, but there's more people that might not, majority of people are not going to be like that, you know? But it's going to be much more of a worldwide thing, so eventually there will be characters that Sakurai from Japan that they're going to run out from Nintendo saying like, yeah, go ahead, you do you. I mean, basically we're not going to be getting Resident Evil up in this bitch, so that's another one, but still. Eventually they're going to run out, or the Sakurai's not going to get the approval from Nintendo to do a character that he wants. I do think that eventually Western characters will begin slowly but surely to enter. I'm not saying it's going to be like 20 at once, but I think slowly but surely we're going to start seeing them. And Ubisoft is one of those companies that's primed to be there, because they've done a lot of work with Nintendo. We have the Star Fox in Starlink, Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I'm pretty sure we're going to see another Ubisoft Nintendo crossover coming in 2020. I wouldn't be surprised if Kid Icarus showed up in the Gods and Monsters games that Ubisoft announced last year, so the relationship is pretty cozy. And then Ubisoft only with, let's be completely honest, Ubisoft has 3 legit characters that would be very interesting in Smash, and I can actually have a possibility. I know some people might say, what about Sam Fisher or a Far Cry character? They could be in, but I don't think, like Far Cry for example, I don't think anybody really cares about the main characters in a sense, because who are they? Most of the time you hear about it's the villains from Far Cry, and even then it was only with Far Cry 3 that well, at least I'm obviously talking, I'm a bum here, but like for most, for example, I know a lot of people that didn't care about the franchise, or don't even know about the franchise existed until Voss was a thing, and even then Ubisoft kind of boiled it with Voss in that game, but still. But Ubisoft has 3, let's put it that way, characters that would be here. Obviously they still will always push the character called the Assassin's Creed. They always will. Assassin's Creed is their biggest franchise currently. Then they have Rabbids, which they push all the time, and Rabbids had a fan base, a crossover with Nintendo, and they're getting a movie, and obviously Rayman that we've discussed before. Now obviously they have more characters, but unless Sakurai specifically ask for them, Ubisoft will not be like, here's a character, here's everything, have them all. Like for example with Prince of Persia, which would be a cool character to have. They would be just pushing like, here's our character, here's our character. So that's the thing. So it would be those 3 characters, I think, personally. Obviously I could be wrong, but I would feel like those are the 3. Not only that, even within Nintendo, there would be push for one of those 3, and most specifically from Miyamoto, most likely for all 3 actually, because Miyamoto has openly discussed how he likes the rabbits and how he loves the design of the Assassins, which is a good design, I'll give him that. But I don't think Assassins would be the first character that Sakurai would go with, and when it comes to being a rated M character, I think they could easily transition Assassins from a playable, the games they have, to being a playable character in Smash. They don't do anything too violent or too mature in their possible moveset that would be that could be a part of a moveset in Smash. They have a lot of things they could use, a lot of different weapons they use in the games. Obviously the Hidden Blade would have to be there. But it would be an interesting character, probably like a brawler or something. It would be interesting also to see how they would handle like a recovery system, and how they would incorporate the more parkourish side of the Assassin's Creed, the climbing and stuff, which would be cool to see. But I think Sakurai, obviously this is a big brain play, pulling things up my bum like most of the Smash community. So I guess I could be a leaker if I'm pulling stuff out my ass and calling it a leak. If I call it a leak, I'm not calling it a leak. That's a difference. Sakurai has said that he wants characters that will be more fun for play than iconic. It's funness in moveset or creativity in moveset. How fun the character is more important than how iconic they are. AKA, this is why we got Terry instead of, say, someone like Heihachi to put things in from like fighters. And we don't even know if Heihachi will make it in or not. It's definitely a possibility, but we just can't be like 100% it's going to happening or 100% it isn't until we get a confirmation either side. And he's like, this is why I chose. I think he's funner to play with than the other, which is a legitimate argument. So I would say that most likely I probably would predict that he would choose either the Rabbids or the Rayman before to go into Smash. Rayman it's a platforming legend, let's put it that way, that has a lot of games, a lot of source material to pull from, and it could be very interesting to pull a moveset to the game, and it would fit already the art style. Same thing with the Rabbids, have a lot of things to go over, and they could even be even if they want to use other games, they could just use Mario and Rabbids arsenal to have the character built into Smash, which will also be an interesting one to do. And I think that puts Assassins in the lower end of the 3, although all of them are likely to be in. However, I would rank them, if it was Ubisoft deciding, or even maybe Nintendo deciding in like that, who can we bring in to attract a bigger audience from non-people that have a Switch or that have Super Smash Brothers, I would probably say Assassins would be number 1, then the Rabbids, then Rayman. But if I'm thinking like logistically who Sakurai is going to go with, and obviously Nintendo's going to more likely go with Sakurai than with a third party. It would probably be Rayman, Rabbids, and then an assassin. Probably if it had to be an assassin, I would wager it would be Ezio, because he's the more popular of the ones, or the most recognizable one of the assassins. The problematic things for them, obviously he's not. I don't think he has appeared in the Nintendo system, but we could easily just have a port of the original games to PS4, Xbox One. I think that's already happened, and port them over also to Switch, which could happen. Really are getting the Rebel collection, so it's a possibility, to be sure. And I don't know. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the other problematic thing could be a stage for the assassins, because most of the stages are, or the Assassin's Creed world is the real world. But I could see them doing like a stage, like creating a stage like they did for Fire Emblem, which is just like the Templar or the Assassin's temple. Sakurai has created things for other games, like the Colosseum from Fire Emblem is nowhere to be seen on Fire Emblem games. So yeah, no, you could just make stuff up for the Assassins. So you could also make it like you battle in like that weird place where you fight at the end. Not you fight, but like the weird ending of 2. It could be there, or like it could be the, you know, the VR things that they put. Not VR, the machine that they use. It's the Onibus. I forget the name of it. The thing they use for the character in the real world to access the video game, the ancestors pass in the games, or in the games. So I guess it could be that they do. It's a weird possibility, but they could do it. But yeah, I think for Ultimate, I think it could obviously happen depending on how long the fighters pass or the DLC keeps on going, or even as part of the main roster for the next game. But I would think that like most likely they will be a Mii costume for this game if Rayman gets in. But anyway, let's get on to the comment section for this episode, and this time we have 3 comments from 3 different videos. We have one from King Boo from the first season, I think. Then we have one from Lara Croft and one from Kazumi's one. So let's start with, well, all 3 are very different in length. So the first one comes from Kid Gamer, not the first one in terms of timeline. This came out a day ago. In the King Boo episode. Kid Gamer that has, funnily enough, a King Boo with wearing sunglasses, or a Boo, I should say, with sunglasses, a tongue out, and a Christmas hat on his profile picture. I really want him in. Please, Sakurai, come on. I think now that Piranha Plant has opened the possibilities for more characters like King Boo, I think King Boo eventually will make it in. He should make it in. He's a villain. Why shouldn't a villain make it in? We just need to wait and see now, I guess. But I think like next generation, maybe next Smash game, maybe even this one, depending on how Sakurai, how they want to do things with the Nintendo franchises. You know, if it is Nintendo franchises, I could legit see like the big games of 2018. No, 2019. I forgot for a moment there what year was it. Would be getting DLC, and like Luigi's Mansion, Three Houses, Astral Chain, and Pokemon would be like the most likely contenders from the first party side. Maybe with Xenoblade Chronicles, with Chronicles 2 happening in 2017 and 2018 with the original release and then the DLC, and with Definitive Edition coming later coming in 2020. Unreleased, we don't have a release date for that. And then at the Lara Croft episode, E105_alpha said, yes please, Lara has to make it. Ever since PlayStation All-Stars just ruined everything. I don't think she was in All-Stars, was she? But then again, like, here's the thing, I don't think she would ever make it to All-Stars because A, we already know, nobody really can tell like how Square Enix does things nowadays. Even Nintendo was like fishy about working with Square and getting Dragon Quest. If I'm not mistaken, Sakurai wanted Dragon Quest. They wasn't sure how to go about it until Nintendo said, don't worry, we got you. And even then they wanted like, we want 11 and we want Herdrick. We're good. Thank you. We don't want to overpush. And then Square, the developers of Dragon Quest, like, oh, here, have 2 more. You know, have a little bit of fun with these. So yeah, they want to push it. But I think also it's weird for PlayStation All-Stars because they didn't get anything worth of note, basically. I think it's funny that originally, I think in a different timeline, there's a different timeline where there is a war between Nintendo and Sony to secure exclusive characters for All-Stars and Smash Bros. From third parties because of PlayStation All-Stars original creators or the original people to make All-Stars was gonna be Naughty Dog, and then Naughty Dog was not available because they were working on The Last of Us, so they became Superbot. Superbot was created to create the game, and even Sony owned studios didn't care about them and weren't like really into the idea of pushing the characters in, or putting characters in, like working too well with these guys. So it's a funny thing. I think it's weird. Had it been Naughty Dog, I think like Crash, Lara probably, maybe Cloud. I think Cloud would be the big difference in Smash Ultimate right now. Would be that Cloud probably was going to be a PlayStation All Stars exclusive character. But it's weird how things worked out. And then for the Kazumi video that came out on Monday, Terry Servitson said, "I highly doubt that Kazumi would ever be allowed in Smash Ultimate because she has the same issue as Mai, with the possible visible panties problem with her default costume. But I could see her become a main costume if Ryu Hayabusa become a DLC fighter." Also in regards to Kingdom Hearts, Nomura said that he received a mysterious request that involved Kingdom Hearts, so it could be Sora as Challenger Pack 5. As a character from Assassin's Creed, I could see one of them as a Mii costume if Rayman gets in. So the final part about Assassin's Creed, it goes with what I just said at the end. For Ultimate, probably it depends on how long DLC keeps going, but probably only after Rayman. Most likely. When it comes to the Sora thing, I don't think at all Sora is going to be a part, at least of the Fighters Pass. I don't think there's a chance at all now, given the fact that we just had the Game Awards, and there's no way in hell that Nintendo and Nintendo's marketing didn't look at announcing Sora as the final DLC character at the Game Awards wouldn't be a big deal. It's a weird one. Kingdom Hearts is a big deal in the West, and it feels weird that we're like, that would be a great place to do it. And you could say, well, but what if they didn't have the gameplay ready? I would counter argue that with there was no gameplay for Joker until like April, like the day of his release. We hadn't seen a thing from Joker, and the same thing could be applied to Terry. We went from September to November without a single footage of Terry, and we had a trailer. Now sure, the trailer was different, but they could have worked on when they decided on the DLC and started making the trailers, they could have easily decided when to announce them and where to put the characters. Again, E3 2020 had 2 DLC characters announced, both with fantastic CGI trailers, and there was again 2 CGI trailers for 2 characters at E3. 6 months after the Joker reveal, there was last minute decision, let's put it that way, to have an announcement at the Game Awards. They had a trailer at the last second, basically all of it done pretty quickly, and yet we still had 6 months later, basically 2 trailers ready to go for E3. So it's one thing I'm up in the air. So I don't think it would be. It could be in the future, but not as Pack 5, especially now. And he could have mysterious requests. I mean, it's the video game industry. Everybody will say hype everything up to make everything possible. And I don't know. And when it comes to Kazumi and the costume, I will say this. I don't think that matters as much. Even for Mai, I don't think it would matter as much. I think the reason why it mattered for Mai was that it was for a cameo. For a cameo, Sakurai wanted to make every character, at least this is obviously an assumption on my part, but I'm looking at the characters that were there. I think that every single character there is with their most recognizable and iconic design. That's what Sakurai was going for. I think that removing Mai from her default and the most recognizable and most well-known costume might have been a problem for Sakurai, and he probably didn't want to do that. That's why he's like, it's just for a cameo, I won't go over it. But I don't think for a playable character Sakurai would have that problem. For example, and I think this is the greatest example I could think. First, I think for the greatest example I could think is this. Whenever we get, because it has happened someday, Sakurai and Nintendo are most likely one day going to add third-party characters, the second unique character to third-party franchises already in Smash. And looking at the third-party characters in Smash, I think the first one to receive it should honestly be Sonic. Sonic should be the first third-party character to get a completely unique second represented. Like Sonic already got screwed in not being the first third-party rep in Smash. He got screwed in not being the first third-party rep in Smash with an Echo. So I think he should get something. It's Sonic. He should be the character that gets at least something in this regard of being of making history in Smash. So we have Sonic. After Sonic, who should be the second rep, the second franchise to get a unique rep in the game? I would honestly say Street Fighter, not because of Capcom or because of the history that Street Fighter might or might not have with Nintendo, is simply based on who I think the character should be. And the character should absolutely be one of the most iconic female video game characters of all time, Chun-Li. And her base costume, default costume, is not that much more different than Mai or Kazumi. But I don't think that would stop Sakurai going like, okay, we have to stop this. We cannot do it. And I think he would go with honestly, a redesign of the character, even if it's slight tweaked redesign, even if it was just to give them shorts. And I don't think that would matter as much. And for a playable character, I think that would be make the distinction like, okay, we need to change this. And honestly, he could easily use like the design I used for my thumbnail and the design that I've seen around in other games for mine, like Ninja Gaiden. She had a different costume, so he could do it. Not only that, when looking at Smash, and let me very quickly open the Smash page for fighters. Let me see, smashbros.com, Europe. Let me put on fighters, and let's see. Yeah, okay. So looking right now at the DLC page, Persona didn't get the most iconic character on it. Hero, the most iconic character, or the most iconic hero, is not the default one. Terry and Banjo, kind of using their more iconic designs, but again, both of them have kept basically the same design for ages. Not even going into just Nintendo characters, like Snake, probably like, would this be the most iconic Snake design? Probably, but like Sonic doesn't have his original design, for example. It's modern Sonic and not classic Sonic. Mega Man is classic. Wii Fit Trainer is one that it's a really good one to utilize. Sakurai used originally her first design, then changed it to her more recent design based on requests. Ryu and Ken both use Ryu, Ken and Cloud both use their more iconic designs, but then, for example, Bayonetta doesn't. I would argue Bayonetta 1's design is more iconic than Bayonetta 2, going as far as even in Bayonetta 3's reveal trailer having the distinction between the two, and then Simon and Richter being their most iconic design. So I think, and then you have King K. Rool that received the redesign. For example, I know it's not a third party, but K. Rool and Ridley got both redesigned. So I think Sakurai for playable characters, he would tweak things. Not only that, I think, like, for example, I would say that if Smash Brothers had kept every franchise, every character, every franchise being universal, like the art style for each character should be from the same game, like the Zeldas, like instead of having like, this is Breath of the Wild Link, this is a link between Link to the Past Zelda, or Ocarina of Time Ganondorf, and like, no, these are all three from Twilight Princess, or Ocarina, or Wind Waker. I don't think like a character like Ridley would be in, because it would require a redesign from something that was never in, or like completely changing what it looked like. So I think a redesign would be in order for her to be in, or a change of outfit. But I think Sakurai would make the sacrifice just so that he could have the character playable. But that's honestly just a crazy little theory, and I don't have my book with me that says who the next character is gonna be. So yeah, it's right there. Let me go pick it up real quick. I'm an idiot, because I write these down on paper just so I don't forget, and then I forget to bring it. So the next character, obviously this will be it for this video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry. I've been the Legend of the S, and join me again next week when we talk possibly about a character that I'll discuss it next week. We're going to be discussing a character I probably will butcher the name in saying it, but Jibania, you know, from Cat Watch, the little cat. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I've been the Legend of the S. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, another note, coming probably this week on the 18th, there'll be my predictions video for how 2020's Nintendo lineup will look like, and we're gonna probably look back at how wrong I was for both 2019 and 2018, and I think 2017 I made one too. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I've been the Legend of the S. See you guys next time.